Hello, and welcome to Commercial Coverage Insurance Agency. My name is Paul Carl Tredelius Jr., but I would like you to call me PJ. I've often said my friends and paying clients call me PJ. I want to take this opportunity to share with you really how commercial coverage started. And it all really started with a concept in that as I began this career, I really wanted to focus on the commercial insurance product space. In my previous careers, I've always been in a business-to-business type of environment where whatever I was selling, whether it was software, financial data, or even financial products for that case, I was always selling to a business versus an individual consumer. So that's kind of where I came from. I also needed to really have a product where it was really required. I didn't want to sell something like a life insurance product where I had to convince somebody that they needed an additional product. I wanted to be able to say, listen, you're going to buy this product. We're going to be able to sell this product to you in a better format and a better product and a better ability to service your business. So our product needed to be required. The type of clients was also extremely important in the way that we were going to build this company. And that in my previous career, getting to decision makers was quite difficult. You had to go through the traditional gatekeeper, the person at the front desk, to try and get to the person or decision maker that would be able to take a meeting. And then you'd have to get on his calendar. That was a very difficult sales process. So I knew that we couldn't really be too big, but I knew that we couldn't be too small in selling BOP and personal lines autos, if you will. So the ability to get to the decision maker was also extremely important. As we really started to think about how we were going to work, you got to be thinking about, well, am I going to be on the road or am I going to be in the office? I've done very well being in the office. Most of you or any of you that would know me say I work like this. I always have the phone to my ear. So I personally prefer, and the growth of this business is coming out of the office and out on the road. Setting meetings is the least priority of really what we're going to do unless the size of the account really requires that type of meeting. Most of what we do here at Commercial Coverage is over the phone. We've got clients in 35 states, and I'm proud to say that we don't spend a lot of time in their office. Telephones over meetings. Many times our clients don't want to take the time for a meeting. What we provide to them is a transaction. The way we provide it is a service. At the end of the day, they are expecting to really communicate and deal with a professional. If we can sound intelligent, we have the knowledge, we have the ability to communicate effectively, I know that getting over a meeting and conducting business on the phone will be successful, and it has been. The way that we can do all of this is by understanding that we need to know, have product knowledge. We need to understand what it is that we're talking about, why that we're talking about this particular risk or exposure or particular endorsement. So the knowledge is extremely important of what we do and how that we do it. As I started to put all this stuff together, Commercial Coverage Insurance Agency started to be really formed in its little nucleus. Now what was interesting, and I'll share a little story with you, I was out in Texas visiting a buddy of mine in Houston, and I had this idea of starting the agency. And what was going to be the name? Bob Jones Insurance Agency, PJ Insurance Agency, whatever it might be. Those are the names that you see. Well, I really felt that the name of the company had to be descriptive of what we were doing. Hence, Commercial Coverage Insurance Agency, ComCov. My friend started or came up with the idea. We were in the pool, and I remember distinctively sitting in a raft, and we said ComCov. And that's it. It started. As I started to think about this and really started to add purpose to what we were going to be as a company, and again, we haven't even sold a policy yet, the logo. What was this logo going to look like? If you look at the logo here above my shoulder, you're going to see that it actually has a very distinctive shape. It's got a box with an arch over it. The box is our name, Commercial Coverage Insurance Agency. The box represents properties. The actual logo, the arch over it, represents our willingness and our ability to really provide a full coverage solution to anything that's below our designated area of risk. When you stand back and look at this at 30 feet, the thing looks like a big, giant commercial or industrial building. Commercial Coverage Insurance Agency. The colors that we use are with purpose. When I think about insurance, there's no gray area. If you think about an insurance contract, it's a giant if-then statement. If this happens, the insurance company will do this. If this happens, then we will pay. I kind of think of that as a black and white scenario. So the name of the company is with purpose, the logo is with purpose, and our colors are with purpose, and that we really are in kind of a black and white environment. Now, how did all this thing really start? It started in the basement of my condo with a card table and a gateway computer and a phone. I legitimately made 100 to 200 calls a day, and I was at that time working directly with the commercial real estate brokers. And I was on the phone every single day dialing for dollars. I'll tell you an interesting story. My first employee was my father. I remember calling my dad and saying, "Dad, listen, it's moving quick. We're having a lot of activity over here. I need to hire somebody. I need someone for the back office. I need you to figure out this, that, the other thing." The next day he was on the plane. He was legitimately at my condo the very next day. Now what's interesting is that my dad and I both share the same name. I am Paul Carl Tredelius Jr. and he's Paul Carl Tredelius. So within the first 10 minutes I said, "Hey, listen, Dad, you can't function as a Paul. Because when somebody calls into the agency and asks to speak with Paul, we're not going to know which one they're looking for." So today, if you're around in our files, looking around at employee names, and you see the name Carl Sterling was employee number one. The fictitious employee that was my father, who came out for maybe a week, ended up staying here for 4 months, and helped me start commercial coverage from legitimately the very bottom. It started at the bottom of my condo. I had a 3-story condo, and the ground floor, we ended up blowing the whole thing out and making it into a legitimate commercial office. Over 2 years we spent in that office. I had 4 people. I was living up top, and everybody was working in the bottom. In that same office, that's where we really started to develop our standard operating procedures. Not only were we thinking about them and talking about them, but we were physically writing them down and creating a process. One was out of necessity, in that my father did not know much about what we were doing at the time. So how would we process a check? How would we process a one prop? What did that look like? Then as we started to hire more people, they also needed to know. So some of the documents that you'll see today, and certainly a lot of the philosophies that you're going to be talking about over the next 3 or 4 weeks in training, were originally developed out of that particular location. Now, from there, we spent about 2 years in that tiny little office, and then we moved over to Market Street, downtown San Francisco, our first big office. This office was amazing. It was a big jump for us. At that time, I think we were probably 6 to 8 people. There are 2 sections of Market. There's downtown and the other. I was on the other side. And on the other side that I was on, it was not the not so nice side. It was the Civic Center. Out of that office, we really started to kind of build our sales model. At that time, we used something called an AIT model, an agent and training model. The idea was to bring in sharp salespeople that knew nothing about insurance, and we would train them or get them licensed and train them how I spoke. And then they would be on the phones and they would communicate within our sales channels, and thereby we would get business. That's at the same time, we also started to develop our team approach to selling. What does that mean? I wanted to keep salespeople selling, and I wanted to keep our account managers, our customer service people doing what they did the best. So even back then, the model that we use today started over 10 years ago. As we started to swim further and further upstream, we expanded our sales and marketing channels. We don't have any producers here at Commercial Coverage. It's not even actually in our org chart. We really started in providing information and value to our sales channel partners, which are commercial real estate brokers, commercial property management companies, and commercial lenders. At that same time, I personally was going through a massive change myself, and that I knew that as I started to build this company, I needed to spend more time, more energy, and more education in my personal development. At that time, I spent about 4 years in the Vistage CEO Development Program. That program really opened up my eyes to some of the concepts that we'll be talking about today, and some of the things that you'll be learning down the road. But through that program, I really understood what the value of a culture meant to a company. Not only what it means to a company, but what it means to you. And the culture is what we value the most here at Commercial Coverage. From that office, that not so nice office on Market Street, we moved downtown into our first real deal Hollyfield glass conference room, marble floor office. It was amazing. It was the office that I've always thought that we would kind of be in. It really kind of felt like, hey, you know what, we made it. An interesting story. When we were taking delivery of that office, they had carpet in the foyer, and I had requested that they had marble because I wanted to be able to open that door and walk on a marble floor. Well, the broker said, "Hey, that's a problem. You didn't negotiate that," and we ended up having to cut a pretty large check to have that carpet ripped out and put down marble. Not necessarily just for me. I wanted every person walking in that door to really understand that when you open that door and you walked into commercial coverage, that we will be a high performance team, that we take our business very seriously, we take our careers very seriously, and the culture is what helps us develop that. So although we spent a lot of time and energy in making that office nice, our clients don't visit us, not very often. We built such an incredible office in downtown San Francisco for us, for you, because I wanted to make sure that when you walk into this office every single day, that you know that what you do matters. It matters to our clients, it matters to you and your personal growth. As we started to really make ourselves home, we really started to focus on building high performance teams. When you look at some of the career paths that have taken place, we've had people start at the front desk and have, in a very short period of time, got their license. Within another short period of time, went into account management. Some of them are working in our major account groups. Some of them are working in our select account groups. We've got several that are actually up in management now. The career paths at commercial coverage are quick and they're fast. However, it's all based on performance and what it is that we contribute. As we start to really pick up the momentum out of that office, we took our then what was called our risk advisor model. We started to really put that in place. The producers that we thought that we were going to be using was no longer around. We really switched to a risk advisor model because what was happening was that the way that we develop business or leads is by providing information into our sales and marketing channels through, at that time, it was called our IP rater, the investment property rater. Well, during that same time period, we actually moved the IP rating tool, which was on our desktops, and we put that online, and we renamed it to the SureFit rating model. As a result of putting that online with collaboration from our sales and marketing channel partners, which is what they wanted, that's when we really started to pick up momentum. We now had the ability to provide this valuable piece of information into our sales channels at their pace. So instead of calling the office and speaking to somebody, they go online, they go to our website, they go to their iPhone, and they can now get their indications of insurance. As we started to build momentum in that area, we really started to spend yet more time in our culture and more time in our business. And that the consolidation of the insurance industry was starting to take place. You were starting to see small business insurance probably transacting more online. And I knew at that time that we needed to look up and not down. What does that mean? Well, I spent some time and a lot of energy getting and maintaining my certified risk manager's designation. As a result of that CRM and 400 hours of classes, we walked out of there developing what is a product that we use today called our AIM process to risk management, which is what you see on this side over here. Our AIM process to risk management is what separates us from the rest. As a result of the AIM process to risk management, we have created some risk management dashboards and our risk transfer tools. So as our phones are ringing, what's taking place is either a transaction, I want to buy what you sell, or it's also, hey, I understand you're the smart guy. We want you to come in and solve our problems. Then we opened up our second office in San Rafael. San Rafael today is our corporate headquarters. As we started to expand, we have downtown San Francisco, we opened up our San Rafael office. We opened up San Rafael office in order to have another platform to hire and grow our company.